Tell me what you think about my win this week.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Gobble, gobble.
Kick things off for week 13. Only 2 more weeks left. It's getting hot.
Getting heavy.
Speaking of hot and heavy, Chase already fired his head coach.
That's breaking news. That just happened.
Yeah, not for you guys whenever you're watching this, but for us, it was just now.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy. Also last week, pretty massive separation between the top 5 teams and bottom 5 teams with 33 points separate. So everybody knew which side you were going to be on.
Yep.
It was tops versus bottoms week, but it wasn't the 5-0 victory for tops. It ended up only going 4-1. So somebody got the wrong memo on which side to be on. But we'll jump into last week's games now. Kicking it off, we had Dream Rotation versus Mixing It Up. Chase was in the 3-way tie for third, looking to make the jump. Alex, coming off his second win, feeling on top of the world. Chase showed off with his potential of 158. Unfortunately, potential is all it was. He ended up with 81, and Alex slides past by half a point to get back-to-back W's. He now owns the top 3 narrowest wins in our league's history. And like we said, Chase fired his head coach. Next up, we had the Grillers versus Trade Station. Bo already secure in the number 1 spot. Colt fighting in the middle of the playoffs there. He had 3 players get season highs to get 118 there. I only had 1 get a season high, but it was Napalm Barkley. So get ready, Colt. I'm not going on the Grillers. I'm not getting fried by that turkey. At least you got the median, though. Then we had Red Rain versus Sin City Slots. Kevin was trying to jump into that number 2 spot. Miller coming off of an Alex Apocalypse, trying to grasp onto any playoffs hope. Mir's team was not looking great going into last week. He lived up to those expectations. Back-to-back bottom score. At least it wasn't against Alex this time. Kevin got the number 2 score of the week, inching closer to that playoff bye. Then we had Hungry Hush Puppies versus Rocky Mountain Ghouls. Aaron trying to secure that bye week. Jacob, absolutely nothing to gain, absolutely nothing to lose. Aaron ran into some bye week troubles there, posted his worst score of the year at 81, and Jacob flexing those 9th place muscles all the way up to a top 3 finish. Then Christastrophe versus Magic School Bucks. That was our game of the week, separated only by a half a game going into it and only 0.25 points. Chris showed up with a bang. Mahomes posted his highest score of the year, and he finished with 122. Garrett's Magic School Bucks looked more like a struggle bus. He posted his lowest score since week 2.
Was a crazy week. Also, Elders top 3. We haven't got to say that all year, actually.
Yeah.
I wonder whose fault that is. It's mine.
I asked Jacob, I needed an 0-2 from Aaron. I had Jacob hook it up for me.
That's right. Shimmy on over here. Come on, you can do it. That's right. Mind you don't scuff your bum. Thank you so much, Gerald. Welcome to your time on this rock. Comfortable, isn't it?
That Chris game and Chris and Garrett game, that's a big one for the playoffs. That actually pushes Garrett out of the playoffs temporarily. Plenty of time to make that up. He's only a half game out too, so he's not even that far away. The other one that was important would have been my game. I got the 2-0 with Aaron getting the 0-2, so that's helping me inch closer to that bye week like you mentioned. Miller, we said we were going to pity you. We did. You did exactly what we all expected. Also, I had 3 players on Monday night. That sucks. I hated that. I had like 80 points at the end of the Sunday games, and I was like, I'm going to lose to Miller somehow. Obviously, it didn't happen. The Monday night game went fine, but good Lord, that sucks. I hated that.
Yeah. See, I had the same feeling because I was going into Sunday night and was back by like 60 points. I didn't even watch it. I just got notifications of 2 70-yard touchdowns by Saquon. So
Yeah, we didn't see the hot coals from the grill this week. We saw the hot napalm burning flesh off of Colt's team.
yeah,
This little graphic. I'm sorry.
I probably felt the same feeling that Chase felt with his 3 touchdown game from Joe Mixon.
Yeah, that was 2 weeks ago. His mixing it up team was living the high life, and what a difference a week makes. Head coach fired.
I mean, that's what losing to Alex does to a guy. We saw Aaron lose to Alex earlier in the year, and then he just lost to Jacob.
Aaron has 4 losses to the bottom 3 teams.
That's kind of crazy.
I mean, I guess he's doing good against the top teams.
It's a good thing the playoffs only have the top teams, apparently.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. You're just now finding out that you're not making the playoffs.
Damn it.
Yeah, after that week, we can jump into the standings. Not as much movement as it has been in the past. Me, Aaron, Kev, and Chris don't move. Colt jumps 2 spots up. Chase and Garrett both fall down 1. And then Mir, Jacob, and Alex bringing up the rear there. there. And like we've been saying, it's close. Kevin and Chris are tied, only half a game behind Aaron for that bye week. Colt and Chase are both tied for the last playoff spot, and Garrett's half a game behind them. But he has more points than both of them. Huge for the tiebreaker there. Miller's still only 1 week behind 5th place. Aaron technically hasn't secured a playoff spot. Mathematically, he can still be eliminated. So the last 5 spots are being fought between 7 teams. That's crazy.
Realistically, Aaron is in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's got a pretty substantial points for lead, which is something we've been talking about. I'm assuming someone's going to come down to a tiebreaker in one of these spots. That's one thing Garrett does have an advantage. He's got a pretty substantial lead, points over Chase.
And Colt.
If a tiebreaker comes down to any of those 3, Garrett's in a pretty good position as long as he doesn't have 2 bad weeks to end the season.
Yeah, and he's to throw that magic school bucks in the reverse and then kind of turn things around compared to this week. So to put you all on the spot a little bit, who do you think makes the playoffs?
I think it's going to be Bo, Aaron, Kevin,
okay,
Chris.
Yep, and this is where it gets a little trickier here.
I've got Garrett and Colt. That's my guess.
That's my guess too. I actually think Garrett will actually pass Colt. I think Colt's gonna barely make it in the 6th seed.
Yeah, I think I could see Garrett taking the 5 seed, and then I think it comes down to a tiebreaker between Colt and Chase.
That's exactly how I'm picturing it. Garrett's got a great schedule the rest of the season, which is a huge reason why I'm saying that he's going to jump Colt.
Yeah, and sorry, Mira, I know you're technically still in the running, but doesn't sound like we have a lot of faith in your team after these back-to-back weeks you've had.
Nope. But yep, that's my guess. Like we've said plenty of times this season, I think Chase's team on paper should be better than what it's performing. But if his team catches fire and he has 2 crazy weeks in the season, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes it. And I'm assuming me and Chris don't screw this up and completely fall out of playoffs.
I mean, Chase last week had a potential for 158, so it's there. He's just got to find the right pieces. And like you said, he should be doing better. And that's one of the reasons why I don't want him to be in the playoffs. His team is on paper is so scary. Like you said, I would not be surprised if all of a sudden he's blowing up.
I mean, we've already had a team in history barely make the playoffs and win the championship.
Yeah, he could pull a Colt 2018 and just run the table.
And just make sure you're on my side of the semifinals.
Yeah, exactly.
He has... I played him last year in the semis, right? Yeah, he beat me in the semis last year. You son of a...
Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. And celebration... Pause. I'm not going to say celebration. I did that last week. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. I'm sure you've heard about the Butterball turkeys. We're going to avoid that, and we're just going to talk about Breville espresso machines. Espresso machines. There it is. Yeah, homemade latte right here, fools. This is delicious. I got a hazelnut flavoring in here. Just smoking some espresso. 11 out of 10. Fantastic. I don't know who made it. I do. It was me. He did a great job. Oh, I will chug it. Here, I'll chug it right now. I'm okay. That was delicious. I'm gonna be awake now for like at least another 30 minutes. Actually, real fast. You know what I'm talking about, the Butterball turkeys? You know what's been going on? So PETA released a video apparently alleging employees who like raised the turkeys sexually abusing the turkeys. People are nasty.
All right, and that's going to bring us into this week's games, the Thanksgiving games. We got a weird schedule. We got games on Thursday, Friday, Sunday, Monday. Got the whole shebang. We're going to kick it off with our pseudo game of the week. So this is it's a good matchup. It's a close matchup, but it won't affect anything matchup. Rocky Mountain Ghouls versus Dream Rotation. The number 9 versus the number 10. Both coming off of wins, which is unusual for this matchup. Alex coming off a back-to-back, going for the three-peat twice over. 3-peats for 3 wins in a row. And Jacob hasn't beat Alex since November 14th. 2022. It's been quite a while. So Alex is going for the 3-peat. Alex could still pass Jacob in the standings. It wouldn't do much because Jacob has both picks, but it'd be funny if Jacob was last.
I don't want to be last, so I do have some motivation this week to get the dub. I had honestly forgot I had lost Alex 2 times in a row, and it's been over 2 years since I've beaten him. It's my time. That's all I gotta say, right? Hopefully, right? Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have a ton of faith in your team.
He beat number 2 ranked Aaron. Maybe now is the time to have faith.
Yeah, with the highest potential score. If everyone set the perfect lineup, I win.
As far as the last time you beat Alex, it was the best your team ever looked because it's whenever you went to the championship.
Nice.
This is the worst your team has ever looked going up against Alex. Alex about the same as how he's always looked. Well, you're now down there with him.
Yeah. Let me read this. Okay. All right, our next matchup this week is going to be Trade Station versus Chase football team. They are both ends of the playoffs right now, number 1 and number 6. So, Chase, you're on the chopping block right now. You're tied with Colt, but he has the tiebreaker. So you are going to have to win this matchup to have a good chance. Otherwise, it's going to be obviously less if you lose. So, just get a dub. Make it easier on yourself. Bo is set at number 1. He's going to the playoffs. He's got a bye. He's got the number 1 seed, actually. It's Chase, you're coming off a loss to Alex right now, and you're putting the pressure on me a little bit too. It's gonna be my third loss and the third loss in a row, or third defeat in a row for Alex. So it's my team's not good enough for this kind of pressure. Good luck though.
I hope he doesn't get the win. But I mean, like you said, I'm not moving, so I'm chilling.
Yeah. If Chase was to slip you a 20, would you let him win?
I was going to bring up, I see that his team name is vacated. Maybe I could get a little sponsorship deal, get my name out there to everybody else. Maybe we can come up with some kind of contract there where he has Bo's number 2 squad, Bo's just in case championship, Bo's team that wins in the semifinals.
There you go. That's the one.
Yeah, but loses in the championship game.
Oh.
Well, okay.
Chase, all you got to do is just picture your team going against me on a Monday night game. That's what you got to do versus Bo. From the beginning, tell your team it's Monday night versus Kevin, and then your team should be good.
And on a more literal sense, neither of us have Monday night games. So, Chase, just hang out. Don't even worry about looking at the game or anything. Even screw around with your lineup a little bit. Make some second guesses, put some guys in there that probably wouldn't normally do good, but maybe they'll blow up this week, and that's what you need to move up in those playoffs. So put in those long shots. He's going to put in the long shots. He's going to score 200 again. Next up, we have the Magic School Bucks versus Sin City Slots. That's the number 7 and 8 team right out of the playoffs. They're both a half game apart from each other. This is the old team versus the new team. This is the one that Garrett took over. Miller came into a better situation, and right now Garrett is over Miller. He could really cement that I'm the better manager with your team that sucks, and Miller's not making the playoffs. Currently, all-time Miller is 2-1 against Garrett, so this would tie it if Garrett could get the win. I would say either team going 0-2 this week probably throws away the playoff hopes there. Obviously, it depends on what everybody else does, but you only have 2 weeks left right now, so getting those 2 losses would really suck. Garrett could jump to 5th, being that he has more points for than the 2 ahead of him. And Miller, speaking of points for, you are over 100 points behind Garrett, so you cannot take any losses or score low at all.
We look at the points for right now. Miller is 30-ish behind Chase, so if they get in a tiebreaker situation, Mir's got a chance at least. Anyone else, it's not looking good. Also, potentially a snow game for the Bills this week. If it's a snow game, that's a real big blow to Mir because obviously Josh Allen is an integral part to his team scoring a lot of points usually. For Garrett, the Bucks are playing the Panthers. You have Baker Mayfield start Baker Mayfield this week with confidence. They're playing the Panthers.
Yeah.
I think this should be a good week for Garrett matchup wise.
Also, Miller, 3 straight weeks being under 90 points. But if we go back to week 1, Miller had 123. It was a top 3 score. Then he went 0-6 the next 3 weeks. Then 130, another top 3 score. 3 weeks went by. He goes 0-6. The week before, he scored 146. Maybe this is the pattern for him. But Garrett's pattern has been up and down literally. 93, 144. 94, 127. 85. Sorry, Mir, it's the up week.
Yep, 136.
So, fun little thing that I'm looking at here on the stats. It seems that Colt and Garrett actually alternate the up weeks. So when Colt has his pop off of 120 plus, Garrett's down. The next week, Garrett goes up, Colt goes down. That could be a fun thing to watch going towards the end of the playoffs.
That would be pretty fun, though, if we find out that Garrett and Colt, the way they're doing so good is they're sharing points. And they're like, here, you just take all of them this week, I'll take all of them next week. We'll just pass them back and forth. That should help us get in. If they're the 2 that end up getting in, this is why.
Yep.
And what are they going to do in
look into
playoffs,
collusion afterwards.
I mean, I'll go ahead and say this isn't in the rules anywhere. We may have to put it in afterwards, but kudos to you guys figuring this out.
Yeah. How did they split in playoffs? Did they both just score 100 even?
Well, they'll be on opposite sides of the playoffs. Maybe Garrett activates his defense on his down week so that Colt can have a good week, and then they switch and Colt loses the next week.
It'd be crazy if they both make it to the championship and we have our first legit tie.
Script writers, get on it.
A championship of Garrett versus Colt would be awesome.
Yeah, I think we'd all be rooting for Garrett.
Yeah.
No offense to you, Colt, but But just like when I got to the championship last year and everyone was rooting for Chase, same thing.
Yeah, I don't want no championship grilling episode because we all know he's gonna like Salt Bay out there, like the salt running down his hands and
Actually,
everything.
it has nothing to do with Garrett now. It's just I don't want to see that, Colt, so I'm not going to root for you.
See, it kind of flipped me back over to his side. I kind of want to see the week-long grilling. He's just a full live stream for a month of him just constantly grilling. Carly's like, why did you bring the grill into the bedroom?
Speak of the devil, we'll go into our next matchup, which is the Grillers versus the Hungry Hush Puppies. So Aaron, coming off his worst game of the season and losing to Jacob, just a real double whammy there. But this is number 2 versus number 5. Aaron trying desperately to hold on to the first round bye, the second overall seed. Aaron pretty much needs to secure, if he goes 3-1, he locks it up no matter what me and Chris do. Colt needing to hold on to his playoff seed. He's number 5, tied with Chase. He does have the points for over Chase, but he does not have it over Garrett, who's in 7th right now. Colt would actually be 3-2 versus Aaron over the last 5 weeks, though. Does Aaron make it 3-3, or do we go 4-2? And we're running out of grilling opportunities for Colt, so as we come down the home stretch of the season, he wants to fire it up one more time.
It is kind of wild to hear that over the last 5 weeks, Colt would be winning 3-2 against Aaron. The previous 7 weeks, Aaron would have gone 7-0 against him. So, I mean, it's not super close over the whole year, but the last 5 weeks, Colt's been firing it up, and Aaron has been cooling it off.
Maybe we get some grilled hush puppies this week.
I feel like it wasn't so long ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago, we were like, oh, Aaron's got this locked up. Aaron's got the bye week in hand, and now he's a half game ahead, just praying that he holds on. I feel like he let up a little bit. To be fair, he does have a baby on the way. Might be here. Maybe he's just been a little distracted.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all up for play right now.
And that brings us to our last game, the game of the week. We got the number 3 versus the number 4. They're tied for 3rd. Red Rain versus Christastrophe. They're only 50 points apart. Also a half game out of the bye week, like we said. They could both secure at least a playoff spot this week, depending on how things shake out below them. Kevin would be 8-4 against Chris this year, but of all 12 games, 7 of them would have been decided by less than 10 points, which is wild. Chris is 5-3 against Kevin all time, and all time, they are number 2 and number 3 for wins and points. They are just neck and neck all time and this year.
Yeah, and Chris doesn't pull any punches against me. He averages 133 points against me head to head. So he usually brings his A game. Both of our teams have kind of been up and down on the year, but we're starting to hit our stride late. I think it should be a really good game. I took a quick look. It doesn't look like any bye weeks. There might be some injuries pop up, especially like David Montgomery on the short week having to play Thursday. Sun God also has a questionable tag, but I think he'll play probably. I think it'll be a good game, and this is obviously a huge one for the playoffs because, like you said, we're tied currently, trying to get that Aaron's 2nd seed. So, Aaron, if you'd be so kind as to let one of us have that'd be great. Preferably me.
Yeah, you talked about it. Y'all both are turning it up towards the end of the season, which I'm sure for everyone that's going to be in the playoffs, not me, is probably a little worried about that because, it all takes is that team getting hot at the right time. I think everyone does not want Patrick Mahomes going back to old Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, talking about getting hot in the playoffs, these are the two-time champions, so neither of them are who we want to see in the playoffs. They just know how to win.
It'll be a big one. Obviously, everyone in the playoff hunt outside of, well, Bo's obviously locked up, but everyone else, it's a frenzy. 2-7, I'm going to cut Miller out of it. I'm sorry. I don't have any faith in your team. That's nothing against you as a person. You're a lovely person. Your team's just not going to cut it this year. So I think 2-7, everyone's still in the fight. There's no one secured. I mean, this is what we've always wanted, right? This is how we wanted the league to be. We wanted it to be super competitive. I think the floor of the league has definitely risen quite a bit. It's cool to see in year 7, the league getting more competitive instead of less.
Yeah, I just would have liked to have been part of the competition.
Yeah.
I was all for the more competition. I like it, but next year.
Yeah. Another thing to look out for, I mean, Chris and Kevin both scoring well. Obviously, they're up there in 3rd and 4th. It also has to do with how the rest of the league goes. I mean, 3 of the past 5 games, Kevin has scored over 110 and didn't get the median. So, I mean, they could both still score well and both miss the median depending on how everyone else does. So that's part of the whole league getting more competitive. It drives up that median. You never know. I mean, our 8th best scorer has hit over 130 twice. So, I mean, you never know.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. that's pretty much all we have for this week. One other thing I did want to bring up about Kevin and Chris. Kevin has now crossed 100 wins all time. He's the second person to do that, and Chris is at 99, so he could cross it as well. The only other person that it was close, Jacob, 95. You can max out at 99, but you cannot hit 100 this year.
It's okay. Next year.
One other thing I wanted to bring up was for those last few teams there in the playoffs, these last couple weeks, Colt has to play Aaron and Chris, number 2 and number tied for 3rd right now, so that's tough. Chase, me and Aaron, number 1 and number 2. Garrett, Miller and Alex, number 8 and number 10. Garrett, you are primed to pass these guys. I mean, you could not ask for a better layup right here.
Take advantage of it.
Yeah, that's got to suck for Colton Chase, knowing that not only does he already have more points, but they have to play top 3 teams the last 2 weeks, and he gets to play bottom 3 teams the last 2 weeks.
Should be fun to see how this shapes up.
Gonna be a good one. Everybody eat a lot of food.
Yeah, have a fun turkey day.
Just... yeah.